is the submissive CEO. Power under God. Leadership under authority. Building empires through obedience. Strong in business. Surrendered in spirit. Walking by faith, not by trends. Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to the Submissive CEO podcast. I am your host, Luigi. If you're new here, I'm really glad you're here. And if this isn't your first episode, welcome back, and thank you for being a part of this community. This is a space where we are learning how to build with God. So let's get right into it. So I have been thinking all week, and I know I say that a lot, but this is genuinely how my brain works. I will be up at like 2 a.m. just thinking, processing, going over things. And this week, what kept coming back to me was this. If I say I believe God for something, what in my life actually reflects that? And I'm not talking about what I say or what I've written, because we talked about that before. How you speak matters. What you declare matters, how you talk about your business, your progress, your process, all of that matters. But this was a little bit different. This was more like, what does my life say? What do my actions say? Because it's very easy to say, I believe this business is going to grow. I believe God is going to provide, and I believe I'm called to this. Those things are very easy to say. It gives us hope. But then when you slow down and you look at your actual day to day, it's not always clear that you actually believe those things. So for our Bible reference today, we're going to go to James chapter 2, verse 17, where it says, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. And in short, that's where we get faith without works is dead. And when I hear that, I don't hear it as a harsh type of a thing. It doesn't feel like pressure to me. It used to. But now it just feels kind of honest for where I am in life. Because if something really matters to you, it shows up. It shows up in how you spend your time, what you are prioritizing, what you're following through on. You don't even have to ask someone what they care about. You can usually see it, specifically in their actions. So if we bring this into our businesses and you say you believe God is going to grow what you're building, then naturally there should be some kind of evidence of that belief. It doesn't have to be perfect results or overnight successes, just evidence. There should be receipts. And when I'm saying evidence, what I'm talking about mostly is consistency. Are you showing up regularly? Are you improving your offer? Are you actually learning your audience? Are you following through on what you said you were going to do? Because that's where the shift begins. And I'll give you a real example. So I have a notebook that honestly I carry it around everywhere. And it's basically a running to-do list. It can be kind of intimidating. It's pages long. Things that I've written down, ideas, tasks, things that I said I was going to do, whether it be related to business or life. If it pops up in my head, I put it in that notebook. And I evaluate it every day. I've been making it a point to go through it every single day because there are things sitting there that I haven't crossed out yet. And it's not because I don't know what to do. It's just sitting there because sometimes life just gets in the way and you have to refocus it. I'm somebody that I need to get things out of my brain and written down somewhere. I don't know if you guys can relate, but for me, if I can do like a mind map on my computer, if I'm brainstorming an idea, mind maps help me. There's apps out there for that. Or simply writing it down in a notebook, in a journal, in a calendar. Those things help me a lot. So It helps me to free some space in my brain. Okay. And so now I'm being more intentional about actually finishing things on that list and closing those loops and not just writing things down and moving on. And the small things, the follow through, those are the things that I'm calling receipts. So if you say you have faith, you should be able to show the receipts. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it's not like you have to prove something to people. But your patterns should make sense with what you say you believe. Because over time, patterns tell the truth. The receipts don't lie. So if someone looked at the last 30 days, let's say, in your business, what would they say that you're expecting? Would it look like growth? Or would it look like you're just hoping something works? If I looked at your calendar, would I be able to tell what your goals are? Would I be able to see what you're building? Because it should be visible somewhere. And there's also something happening mentally with this too. Your brain pays attention to what you do repeatedly, not just what you say. So if you keep saying, I believe this isn't going to work, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you keep saying, I believe this is going to work, but your actions are inconsistent, what gets reinforced is the inconsistency. And over time, you start to move like someone who isn't fully sure of themselves or the actions that they're taking, not because you don't want to believe, but because your actions haven't caught up yet. That's why those small, consistent actions matter so much. Because you're not just building a business, you're building trust with yourself. And I've been seeing this in my own life too. I'm in a transitional season or phase right now. God has been shifting a lot for me, and I've been thinking more deeply about certain areas. And one thing about me, I believe God is going to bless me with immeasurable wealth. Okay? Immeasurable. That is something I genuinely believe. I speak that over my life, my business, my family, every area. Okay, I claim it, I receive it. But when I really sat with that, I had to ask myself, do my current habits reflect that? And in some areas, the answer was no. I mean, I guess I can argue that, my current habits, I spend like I've already got immeasurable wealth, but that's not good stewardship. I know deep down that is not what I should be doing. Um, and so I had to stop and look at that and fully evaluate myself because I haven't been as intentional as I needed to be. So now part of my faith looks like being more aware of my finances, tracking things more closely or making better decisions, actually paying attention to what I'm doing with what I already have. I'm not being extreme. I'm just trying to be more aligned and taking it back to the basics. One filter that I'm using right now in my spending is that if something does not improve my health or my wealth as far as business goes, if it's not improving those things, then I need to reevaluate, is this really a necessity? Because right now I'm investing in my health, I'm investing in equipment for my gym, my workouts. In the business, I'm investing in things that will improve the quality of our service. Those are the things that are important right now. So I'm putting all of my purchases, if you will, through that type of filter. And like I said, I'm bringing it back to the basics. If any of you are familiar with Dave Ramsey, I followed his baby steps program many years ago to get myself out of debt. I didn't sign up for anything or take any courses. I just followed the structure. And you can YouTube or just Google what the steps are. Very easy to do. And it works if you actually stick to it and if you actually do it. And now I'm in a place where I am going back to that, starting over in a sense, because I want to eliminate debt, especially student loans for me. And I just want to be in a position where I'm managing and stewarding the things that God has given me well. Because if I'm believing for more, I want my habits to reflect that now so that I can be ready when it comes. There's a verse in Luke 16:10 that says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can be trusted with much." And that has been really grounding for me. It shifts your mindset from when I get more, I'll do better, to let me handle what I already have well. Let me prepare for what I'm expecting God to do. So, and again, that applies to business. If you want more clients, how are you handling the ones you have now? What does your outreach look like? Have you studied your target customer? Do you know who your client is? Do you know what they like? Are you speaking the same language? Are you showing up in the spaces where your clients are? If you want more visibility, are you actually showing up consistently? And listen, I get it because I do this too. I'll post on Instagram once and then disappear for like a month. Okay, social media is a full-time job on its own. It can be very overwhelming. But at the same time, if you want the visibility, that's part of the work. If you want more income, are you managing what you already make? That's what faith with works looks like. For me, I have started using QuickBooks and I avoided that for years because I thought, okay, well, I can just look at my bank statements and my CRM and, I can look at these different things. And I had spreadsheets for what I was paying my staff and all those things, but I never really saw the big picture. And this is not a sponsored thing by QuickBooks. I have no affiliation with them. I'm just sharing things that have helped me in hopes that it will guide you in your business and possibly help you with something that you've been struggling with. But taxes this year were a little bit easier for me. I mean, it's never easy because taxes in itself, just that word scares me. But I had all of the information that I needed because I had subscribed to QuickBooks last year. So I had all of my information clustered up in a way that I didn't have to go searching. And it actually showed me where most of the money in the business is actually going. And that is helping me to manage what I'm already making, if that makes sense. Because now I can look at those sheets and I can make a educated decision about what matters in the business for this year or for the next quarter or for next year even. I can see where I'm spending too much, where I'm not spending enough. The things that have had a, really good return on investment, maybe I need to focus more on those things. So all of that goes into alignment and stewarding what God has given you. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm not telling you to start, you know, 18 spreadsheets or anything like that. I'm just telling you to just start to shift your mindset with where you are, what you're believing God for, and just having your actions lining up with what you say you believe. And over time, it's going to build and you're going to be able to see it. You start to see the results of your discipline. And I've heard this before, and I'm living it now, that motivation is not always going to be there, but discipline will carry you when motivation doesn't. There are days I don't feel like showing up, days where things feel slow and I start questioning everything like maybe I should have just stayed in nursing and had a stable salary. But discipline has kept me going. And in that, you start to see results. You start to see the fruit. You have receipts. And it shows that you can be trusted with what God has given. So I'm going to leave you with this thought for this week. Okay. And that is if your daily actions had to prove what you're believing God for, what would they show? Like, if I followed you around for 24 hours, would I be able to tell what you're building, what you're working toward, or what you're expecting? Would it be clear? Just something to sit with this week. If somebody overviewed your calendar for 24 hours, would they be able to say, oh, yeah, so and so, they're definitely working on increasing their marketing efforts, and they're definitely working on engaging with their customers because I see this time block or I see this activity? Would they be able to see those things? Just a thought for the week. All right, you guys know I always want to leave you blessed. So just a short prayer. God, thank you for the vision and the opportunities you've placed in front of us. Help us to be consistent and intentional with what you've already given us. Teach us how to steward well and how to align our actions with what we're trusting you for. Give us clarity and what to focus on and discipline to follow it through. Help us to stay motivated and help us to build systems that will allow us to honor you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, family, if this episode spoke to you, make sure you follow the podcast, share it with someone who needs it, and leave a review if your spirit leads you to do so. It really helps grow the community. And as always, keep building, but build with God. And I will see you on the next episode of The Submissive CEO.
This is the Submissive CEO.